What's going on, everyone? It's the Fantasy Football Almanac, back at it with another fantasy football video. Today we're going to be talking about 4 running backs that you guys need to panic on. If you guys have these running backs in your lineups, look to trade them ASAP. I am very scared. But anyways, before we get into it, if you guys could, please go down, give this video a like, give this video a comment as well. I will be answering every single fantasy football related comment, whether it be trades, start sits, anything. I am more than happy to help you guys all out. And subscribe to the channel, turn that notification bell on so you don't miss another video and you guys can destroy your league mates at fantasy football. Again, you can always change your mind later. With that out of the way, let's hop right into our first running back. The first guy I want to talk about is Austin Ekeler. I think Austin Ekeler, well, yes, he's a phenomenally talented running back. Well, yes, he is in a great offense. I'm pretty scared for Austin Ekeler. Right now, only 32 attempts through the first 3 games. Right now, he's only had 32 rushing attempts through his first 3 games. He's basically splitting work with Sony Michel, with Joshua Kelly. Well, yes, he is putting up about 55% of the snaps. That's not enough for somebody that you drafted as an RB1. So, well, yes, he still will have good fantasy games, good fantasy performances. I do not look at Austin Ekeler as someone you want to start for the long term as an RB1. I think of him now more as a middle-of-the-pack, high-end RB2, whereas if he's not getting the rushing volume that he's used to seeing, if he's not getting the snap counts that he's used to seeing, if he's not getting the red zone work that he's used to seeing, I'm just pretty concerned. Because right now, he has only seen 4 carries, or he has only seen 4 opportunities in the red zone, and Joshua Kelly's seen 3, Sony Michel's seen 3, so they're not really going to one guy. We're not going to be seeing 20 touchdowns again from Austin Ekeler. We might not even see 10 touchdowns from Austin Ekeler this season. And if that's the case, last year, Austin Ekeler's game was primarily predicated on getting touchdowns. He had 20 touchdowns last season. So if he has a reduction in touchdowns that is somewhat severe, if his touchdowns get cut in half, I am pretty concerned about Austin Ekeler. This isn't even to mention the fact that Rashawn Slater is out for the season with the torn left bicep. Rashawn Slater, arguably one of the best tackles in the league, the best year 2 tackle I've seen out of any player, and now he's gone for the season. So I think Austin Ekeler is going to have a little bit more trouble running the ball. His efficiency will go down a little bit. And also, Justin Fields has been dealing with a rib injury. So I think that is at least something to monitor for Austin Ekeler. While it's not the worst thing in the world, it is something. So I'm a little scared of Austin Ekeler, but he still does have that name value. Well, yes, he only had 4 attempts last game. He still does have name value. So I think you could sell him at a relatively high price point. Potentially, my philosophy would be Leonard Fournette and a piece. Because Leonard Fournette's a guy I think you can buy low on now reasonably and be fine. So I would go out there, trade for Leonard Fournette and another piece for Austin Ekeler, or getting rid of Austin Ekeler. And I think you guys should be absolutely fine. But anyways, that is it for Austin Ekeler. Now let's move on to our next guy. Our next guy is another pass-catching running back. It's Travis Etienne. Travis Etienne, a guy I honestly am even more concerned with than Austin Ekeler. I think on one hand, Travis Etienne should have his snaps go up as the season goes on. But on the other hand, I mean, 51%, 37%, and 43% of snaps, that's pretty bad for a guy that was drafted in the first round. But now it's a new coaching regime, so they're not going to be utilizing Travis Etienne as much as the old coaching regime would have, because they didn't go out and draft him. They wanted whoever's the best running back, and clearly they think James Robinson is the best running back, and they've shown that in all facets of the game, as they've given James Robinson 11 total touches in the red zone, and they've only given Travis Etienne 6. So, well, yes, Travis Etienne has still gotten these red zone opportunities. It is not the same as James Robinson, who is getting 11 touches. I mean, that's way, way more. Double blows Travis Etienne out of the water. And if you're not getting the red zone touches, you're not getting the carries, and you're only getting the targets, that essentially relegates you to a very shiny, a very nice version of J.D. McKissick. And that is not what we drafted Etienne in the late third, early 4th round for. I wasn't really drafting him all too much. I thought the hype was a little too crazy. But at the same time, that's not what we were drafting him for. Also, just in terms of total snap share over the past 3 weeks, James Robinson has received 57% of snap share and looked like an absolute beast while doing it. Whereas Travis Etienne has gotten 44% of the snap share. So, well, yes, I do think James Robinson will cool off because he's only getting 57% of snaps. He has had 51 total attempts, and 6 total receptions. So that puts him around 19 total touches a game. And if you're at that, I mean, that's a workhorse running back right there, or borderline workhorse running back. And again, well, yes, he will cool down. That doesn't mean Travis Etienne will necessarily go up. They probably will just be running the ball less and having less positive game scripts, because even though they did destroy the Colts, even though they did destroy the Chargers, and dare I say it, the Jaguars actually look like a good team. I mean, they were still so bad last year that I think it is possible to be concerned that they might not return positive game scripts normally. So Travis Etienne will be utilized even less. James Robinson will be utilized even less. So overall, I'm just pretty concerned with Travis Etienne as a whole. I don't know how much you'd be able to trade him for, just because I think the whole market's concerned with Etienne, but I'm very concerned with Etienne right now. But moving on, we got Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke is a guy I was really concerned with coming into the season. Looking at this situation, Tony Pollard coming in, stealing about 50% of the work. You have Tyron Smith going down with an injury, out for a very long time, and he was a rock for this offensive line. So far throughout the season, Zeke has had negative receiving yards, and he's had the same amount of red zone opportunities as Tony Pollard. So we do see this as a pretty split backfield. Well, yes, Zeke is receiving 60% of snaps, and Tony Pollard is receiving 40%. That is not a split that's going to be sustainable, especially when you have Cooper Rush at quarterback and you are going to be down in a lot of games. And also, their schedule gets a lot harder. They play Philadelphia soon. They play the Detroit Lions. They play the Rams. So overall, the Cowboys do look to be in a little bit of a tough position for a little while throughout this year. And if we see Zeke continue on this path where he is not utilized in the receiving game, and he's splitting red zone carries, I just don't think he could be considered an RB2 anymore. I mean, I would barely even play him as a flex play. I would much prefer tons of other guys at the running back position to the flex play. Right now, he's the running back 38 in PPR formats, running back 30 in standard. But the running back position has been abysmal this year. I mean, no running backs have really performed all that well aside from Nick Chubb, Saquon Barkley, and James Robinson. So the fact that he's 38 in a dud year for running backs really, really does concern me. Yes, he probably will go up from here, but I'm absolutely panicking on, especially when they are going to be playing from behind a ton. And when they're playing from behind, they're not going to be using Zeke because Zeke is not the receiving back anymore. Tony Pollard has way more receptions than him. Again, Zeke has negative receiving yards on the season, whereas Tony Pollard has 10 targets and 69 yards. It's fine for a running back. But yeah, I would much prefer Tony Pollard in this scenario. As I always have, I think the cheaper option is always the smarter guy to go with in these committee backfield situations, because if they end up taking the job, you are a happy man. But now let's move on to our last running back, a guy I'm pretty devastated to mention because I was drafting him a ton, but you must panic on this guy. His name's Chase Edmonds. Chase Edmonds right now, one of the most concerning running backs in all of fantasy football. Yes, he was going a lot later than these other guys like the Travis Etiennes, the Zekes, the Ekelers. But at the same time, this is a guy who's had 5 carries and 6 carries in the last 2 weeks. His snap counts are going down, and right now it's not looking good for him. He has 53% of the total snaps in the offense compared to Raheem Mostert at 51%. They were on the field together for a couple plays. That's why it's over 100%. But the fact that they are splitting this backfield almost 50-50 and Raheem Mostert's out there getting the same amount of carries as Chase Edmonds a game means that this offense is most likely going to be a 50-50 committee, as we've seen through the first 3 weeks. And even if it's more like a 60-40 committee in Chase Edmonds' favor, they are not running the ball at all. They want to throw the ball to Jalen Waddle. They want to throw the ball to Tyreek every single play, as we'll probably see tonight in the Bengals-Dolphins game. So I don't really want Chase Edmonds anymore. If he's getting 2-3 targets a game and 6 to 10 carries a game, I don't think that's good enough production to put in your flex unless you're just praying for a touchdown, which he did get last week. He actually had 2 touchdowns, and that's why I think you could potentially sell high on him. But I'm panicking on his workload. I just don't think it's big enough to sustain fantasy volume. And also, his work in the red zone has been split too. He's gotten 3 carries or 3 opportunities, and Raheem Mostert's gotten 3 opportunities. So both of these guys are splitting even goal line work. And if that's the case, there's really just nothing Chase Edmonds does better than Raheem Mostert. But anyways, guys, that that is going to be it from me. These are my running backs that I think you guys should panic on. I'm sorry if you guys have any of these players, but go out and sell if you guys can. Maybe try and sell a little bit, high, put a premium on it. Say, like, this is still Austin Ekeler, this is still Travis Etienne, this is still Zeke. These guys are great, but I'm just not looking for what they offer at the time. I need a wide receiver, maybe. Try and negotiate the trade in a way where you're not panicking. Because if as soon as the other owner knows you're panicking, you are done. You are a fish out of water. So yeah, don't do that. That's my advice. Just a little tidbit for fantasy football advice. But anyways, guys, that is going to be it from me. I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, go down, leave a like, leave a comment. Again, I'm answering every single fantasy football comment, trade-related, start sets, anything. More than happy to help you guys. And subscribe to the channel. Turn that notification bell on so you don't miss another video. But that's it from me. As always, have a good day, a good night, and a good life.